welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, angels and demons and monsters and serpents. This is Brothers of the Serpent podcast, coming to you not live with Kyle in the 10 by 10 by 10 tangent cube of science, where he is still, and he remains, nestled amongst the dusty bones of an ancient seabed high atop the Edwards Plateau. And I am in my new studio in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, which, by the way, I found out recently are like older than trees. They predate the evolution of trees.
Oh.
They're older than Saturn's rings, which, well, Saturn's rings aren't that old, cosmologically speaking.
Dang.
But yeah, they basically started forming in the Pangea period. So these mountains are ancient, which is why, you know, they're according to local rumors, filled with eldritch horrors from ancient times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm in my studio hiding.
It's Appalachia. Right?
Appalachia.
Remember this? Remember this with Randall?
Yeah. Depends on which part you're in. But yeah, it's beautiful here. The weather is amazing. Everything is green.
I'm jealous, dude. You 50. What did you say it was going to be tonight?
It's getting down into the 50s tonight. I mean, bro.
Well,
it's awesome.
Cheers, man.
Yeah.
Cheers to the move.
Cheers.
Canada Dry. What?
I did not move to Canada. Cheers. America. Yeah, Canada Dry. That's my soda of choice. Really,
it is good. It is good.
So yeah, this is cool. Like, the ability for, I mean, you know, us doing the show this way. I know some people will miss the fact that we're no longer in the same room together, but
they'll get over it.
They'll get over it. Yeah, you know, things change, and this is actually really good for me. And I think possibly that the quality of the show will go up because it'll be easier for me to share things and show video and all that kind of stuff, because now I'm in my own studio using my own computer and I have all my media and files.
Yeah,
and I said this on the live recently. So
the editing in Riverside, I mean, it'll be simple to make shorts. Yeah. It'll be so fast. So.
Yeah. Riverside is not good at figuring out what to do with two people in the same room on the same camera. Yeah.
Sadly. And I never really got the video switcher working that great. It was just OBS, but old bullshit.
Yeah. Old bullshit.
Totally
system.
Free though. It was great. It's a great system, but
yeah, so I'm stoked that we're it took a couple of weeks. I mean, dude, we're still unpacking boxes, of course. It'll be a while before we're fully settled in, but the house is awesome, the property is awesome, the area is amazing. And like I said, the weather is excellent. I've been really enjoying it. So but I'm stoked we're back to podcasting. I've been really working hard on the studio, putting up, you know, blackout curtains and all the sound dampening. You can see these panels I've been putting on the walls, and I can show people around here. I put a set of them up there. These things are really cool. And then behind the monitor, got a bunch more sound dampening. And I still have stuff that I've got to install. I put a rug in, but the room is obviously it's, you know,
it sounds great. I mean,
it sounds pretty good now. When I first came in here and I'm like, hello. It's much better now. And I think as I got stuff to put in the corners, you know, the corner foam that goes up, and then there's I got some cool ones that go in the tri-corner up there, big pyramid, like a 3-sided triangle that goes in the corner up there. For
some reason they call those bass traps.
Bass traps, yeah.
Why do you think that? What is it about the corners? Is trapping the bass frequencies in the corners? Is that really what's happening, guys?
No, those things are trapping the bass.
Yeah, that's what it's saying.
Because the corner is reflecting the bass somehow. I don't know.
It's an acoustic panel designed to absorb low-frequency sound energy in a room. It works by converting sound energy into tiny amount of heat through friction or pressure absorption, which prevents bass frequencies from building up.
Building up?
Yeah, you don't want standing waves of bass in Yeah. So, but why is it the corners? Because obviously the bass is everywhere in the room.
I don't know. It seems like the standing wave would develop across the flat walls, but
it's probably because they need a deeper depth, so they use a corner to get a depth of dampening material.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
You don't want like a foot of dampening material sticking off the wall.
Yeah,
mine.
Yeah, those are cool.
These are, I think 6-inch or no, they may be 8-inch pyramids.
Yeah.
That'll trap some bass, bro.
That'll trap some bass. Yeah. Well, the corner things are coming tomorrow, so I'm going to install those. And it's been cool as I've been doing all the upgrades and adding things to the walls and stuff. Like I can hear the room changing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've even got some dampening on the doors because there's multiple doors in this room. There's several closets, and I've got a bookshelf over here. And just anyway, so everything I put in and add like slowly makes it quieter in here, and it's been cool to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, but people don't care about that. Inside baseball, making the studio. Right. It looks cool. So, but let us do some space weather news. From spaceweather.com, where we get all our space weather news. Auroras hate solstices. Regular readers have often heard us say auroras love equinoxes, and this is a real physical phenomenon. Because of the Russell-McFerrin effect, the magnetic connection between Sun and Earth is strongest around equinoxes, giving CMEs a boost when they try to spark auroras. But the opposite is also true. Auroras hate solstices. Think of it as the anti-Russell-McFerrin effect. The magnetic connection is weakest around solstices, i.e. now. Perhaps this is why recent CMEs have failed to produce strong geomagnetic storms. Also, look for air glow tonight. There is a new moon on June 14th, and that means it's a good night to look for air glow. Aaron Watson photographed the phenomenon on the 13th from the West Elk Mountains of Colorado, and I am going to share this because it is an awesome... Let's see, right here. This is really cool. A capture of the air glow.
Wow.
Yeah, so he said the sky looked bright to the north. I could tell by the way the clouds were silhouetted that there was a glow of some kind going on. I grabbed the Nikon and saw the neon green in the playback screen. So air glow looks like an aurora, but it is completely different. The green glow comes from photochemical reactions in Earth's upper atmosphere. It is present almost every night, but only visible from extremely dark sky sites on nights around the new moon. And tonight is such a night. Get away from city lights, point your camera at the sky. If the screen turns green, you have found your own air glow. So yeah, I think that's really, really beautiful.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
For
all
some
right.
reason,
Current
Logic
conditions.
just stopped recording. I don't know what happened.
Uh-oh.
But it's going again.
Yeah. Current conditions, solar wind speed, 474.9 kilometers per second. The density is, that's really high, 10.36 protons per cubic centimeter. Current sunspot number, 41. The K index is 1.33. Where's the bell? I don't have, there it is. And the 24-hour max is 2.0. Both of these are rated as quiet. All right, and that is your space weather news for the week.
Cool. Thank you, sir, for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that we were talking about before we started recording was there have been a couple of recent episodes on JRE that, made us come back to the topic of like cosmology, physics, and like what is actually going on in the physics world right now in terms of cosmology and the advancement of physics. Like, where is it?
Yeah.
Where has the advancement been? It seems like there was an enormous amount of advancement early on, and it slowed way down. And over the past several decades, it's gone almost nowhere, at least that we can see. Right. So Eric Weinstein was on, and he was talking about this with Joe. And one of the things he seems to be implying, and it's interesting listening to this guy because he never will give you a complete answer, and you can tell it drives Joe nuts. He's like, well, okay, but why?
Yeah. Yeah, it's maddening.
But he seems to be saying that one of the interesting things I thought that he said was, he was like, well, what you do is you look for the holes. You know, where are the empty areas in the public record of what's going on in physics? And I think he's thinking, and we've discussed this on the show before, but he's thinking that string theory has basically been a gigantic sidetrack, and that it has gotten all of the grant money and all of the university funding and all of the good laboratories, at least to all outward appearances, and it isn't going anywhere. It's mathematically beautiful and very interesting, but it hasn't resulted in anything concrete.
Yeah.
And so he feels like
it's resulted in some beautiful math.
Yeah. Which is fun.
But it's not reality.
For mathematicians. Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know what beautiful math is. I know so little about math.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine.
The other thing he said was that he was like, it turns out that string theorists are excellent mathematicians, but they're not very good physicists.
Yeah.
Right? Because the point of physics, and I agree with it, the point of physics is to make math interact with the physical world.
Yeah.
And string theory doesn't seem to do that at all. So I think one of the questions, of course, is, well, is someone doing actual physics somewhere?
Yeah. To me, the things that really stood out to me were that his statement about how physics is the most powerful thing in the universe, obviously. I mean, if you have black holes, you have quasars, you have obviously those things are governed by the laws of physics. And understanding and experimenting with and gaining abilities with physics gives you power.
Right.
As a nation, as, a rocket, any machine you build, all of that stuff is utilizing these natural forces. And so the more we understand about it, the more powerful we become. And the more we can wield the power that the universe has. So it makes sense that at a certain point, especially starting with the time of the development of the atomic bomb, that this realization may have come to many of these circles inside the governments around the world. Obviously they're like, well, should we keep this secret? We've been keeping stuff secret, for purposes of warfare for a long time. It's nothing new about it. But when it comes to something as powerful as the nuclear bomb, as sort of like a wake-up call, it makes sense that ever since then, maybe the new physics goes underground.
Yeah.
Because who knows? Like, once you get to that point and now you're, what is the next step? What is the next step of some insane, powerful, do you want... One of the things he was talking about is like, if you could do cold fusion in some simple way, do you want the power of the atom in the hands of just everybody?
Right.
That's an interesting question for a society. Do we want that? I mean, do we at some point you kind of need to get there, right?
Yep.
You have to get there, which means you're going to go through some really bad stuff, probably. Anyway,
maybe we need to be multiplanetary before.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if somebody cracks open the planet and we're only on one, that's it.
Yeah.
It's game over. But then on the other hand, can we become multiplanetary without this stuff?
Right.
And so you have to develop it in secret.
So you go underground. You do it in secret. And that just really resonated with me. It's just like, yeah, this is so. You guys know me. I'm not really a big conspiracy theorist type of person.
I need a new co-host. This is crap. It's bullshit.
But this makes sense as a driver for like why you would do this. What would be the purpose of hiding new physics?
Yeah.
Developing it in secret, all of it as a sort of a institutionalized practice since World War II, for example. It makes sense. So kind of got me excited. I'm like, okay, now I have a good reason. Like this just makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think about that before, but just the way he put it was so succinct to me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this makes sense. This is why physics has gone pretty much nowhere. Like we're doing cool stuff with telescopes and things like that. But in terms of energy, propulsion, these things that really matter in terms of power, it's not gone very far. We've asked on the podcast, why is battery technology not gone? Why aren't we using fuel cells? What is going on? I mean, submarines have been operating off of nuclear for so long, and like they're being run by 18-year-olds. Like, what is the deal? Why can't we all have nuclear cars?
Yeah.
We stopped developing nuclear power plants. I mean, they were we got to the point where they were basically so easy to build, but the regulations kept coming down. It was like, no. There was this whole push like, these are dangerous. Don't do this.
Yeah, they're scary.
And so as a conspiracy that somebody, or this was an intention of a group of people to suppress this sort of thing and to not develop the standard model of physics in the public eye any further, much further than it already was. Like that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the fact that physics being the study of the energy of the universe and like how it all works makes it very dangerous.
Yeah.
And it means it's easy, unfortunately, to, especially if you're like, wow, high energy physics is the study of tiny things with a ton of energy. And it's not very difficult for somebody to think, well, what if I have a bunch of those tiny things with a lot of energy and I put them all together really quickly? What happens? It's easy to make large explosions. The stuff we look at out in the universe is mostly very large explosions.
Yeah.
And some of them are really large explosions. Quasars are sort of terrifying when you read about them. And I think I've mentioned this before, but it's like, everyone's really happy that none of them are nearby.
Yeah.
And that all of them happened a long fucking time ago, because you don't want to be near a quasar. You can't be anywhere. Like, even if it's in the next galaxy over, it's still going to kill everything in this galaxy when the energy wave gets here. It's just
crazy.
An unbelievable amount of radiation and energy, right? So this some of the energetic stuff that happens in the visible universe is sort of terrifying. And then, of course, you read science fiction and people are like, oh, well, that's just aliens messing with physics and
and things going wrong.
Right. Well, or things going right. Like one of the most interesting ideas that I came across in reading, most people have heard the famous, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable or any from magic, right? It's indistinguishable from magic. But another one that was really interesting was that any sufficiently advanced race, like alien race, the stuff that they would be doing in space would look like natural phenomena, because they would be utilizing the functions of the universe to do things like, well, we need some power, so we're going to go over to this galaxy we kind of poked around. Doesn't seem to be like a whole lot of valuable life in here, so we're just going to tweak its central black hole and turn it on. And then you have a quasar, and then they can power their entire civilization for the next 100 million years.
Jeez.
Or open a portal. Maybe they need a lot of juice to power a portal because they're trying to get a bunch of lithium from here to there. or whatever it is that they're doing. So yeah, this concept that physics can become scary, especially when you think about just the ramifications of like when they started to crack the atom itself, like theoretically, and they were like, oh, look at these, we can sort of look at the nucleus now, and maybe we got some math to figure out what's going on. And then they define the individual parts of it. And somebody's like, maybe if we let some of these things sit next to each other, we might have something really strange happen, right? And then all of a sudden you've got portable stars, right? So I definitely think that would make a lot of people in power at the time be like, okay, this needs to go underground. It can no longer operate in public at universities with guys writing papers in the open and talking to each other about it.
Yeah, that was a big thing. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'd never even considered, like, this is all the physics departments are in universities.
Yeah.
There are foreign students there.
Yeah.
Listening to the talks, taking the classes from the best and brightest that we have. And we're like teaching. So it's like, okay, yeah, this absolutely doesn't make sense to do if that was if they actually were your cutting edge physicists. Like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because you would basically be openly broadcasting all of your advancements to your enemies. Incredibly dangerous. So it's like, okay, that it was just kind of like, a hit over the head, like, oh, of course.
Right.
And, take that a step further, okay, so there is stuff going on underground or, in secret. And now enter the UAP phenomena, you enter the UFO phenomena, whatever. I know this stuff has been going back a long time, but, these things, there was a part where they, of course, Eric has his own theoretical physics
framework
framework. It's called geometric unity, which I do not understand at all. It doesn't. I mean, he just talks math the whole time. I'm like, okay, great.
Soon as so what is it? And then he starts talking, and I'm like, okay, you lost me already.
Yeah.
Like immediately. Yeah.
I remember looking up Hilbert space because he's talking about it all the time. I'm like, what the hell is Hilbert space? And I don't even remember what the definition was. I don't know if I understood it. But anyway, the point is that they kind of go into this conversation about, higher dimensions, fourth, fifth, whatever, just like different dimensions than the three dimensions that we're dealing with, and time. There's a couple of things I've been looking at recently with physics in terms of like what is time, how we experience time. And I don't know. I just think that the sort of all of this stuff has seemed to come together recently for me, which has sort of blown open the door again to where I want it to go ultimately, which is to like begin looking into the physics of the supernatural, what we call the supernatural. These other dimensional beings or entities or things or whatever it is, objects that seem to defy the laws of physics. But listening to someone like Eric talk about this, it's like, okay, that's all of that stuff is plausible. All of that stuff is something that he looks at as like, no, this is actually where we need to be going with the physics into these types of situations or realms or study, And
he said that, and we've discussed this before, but he said that he doesn't think time is like unidimensional. It's not a line or whatever, right? Like a lot of the ways, you think of time as like this sort of line that we're moving down. Like you have three-dimensional space, X, Y, and Z, and it's moving along another axis, which is just time, T. Mm-hmm. But he's like, no, I think time is multidimensional as well.
Yeah.
And this opens up the possibility of, if that's true, and obviously he seems to have mathematical basis for this, which I don't at all, but it does open up the possibility of you can have that means we can be moving past other strange realities also in time that are sort of next to us, or maybe we brush past them sometimes, or, there could be feedback mechanisms, right? All of this stuff you can use this to explain like precognition, like retrocausality.
Yeah.
The ability, he was specifically speaking to Rogan about how to get to the stars. You don't build a giant, like normally propelled vehicle and try to move across all this intervening space. You want to sort of sneak out around through the time dimension, right? And just kind of hop over there, right? He was trying to illustrate it using a pinch and zoom, which I think he was saying you can, if you have access to the time dimension, you can just sort of zoom into the place you want to be and then just go there, right?
Yeah.
And like sort of.
Well, we know that space and time are manipulatable. Like,
yeah, that's true.
We detected that with LIGO.
Yeah.
That they can ripple. They can, in other words, they're elastic. They can stretch. They can compress.
Yeah.
This is awesome. So of course, this has been something that people have talked about for a long time. I just feel like that this recent discussion about it also with this idea that physics has been sidetracked, like the particle physics road is basically a dead end, and string theory has come along to sort of like slow walk. It's just endless equations. And so that's all happening in the public eye, and it looks like progress, but it's not actually doing really anything for physics.
Yeah.
I found that to be just like, dang, man, this is...
They've been doorknobbed.
Yeah.
It's the doorknob trick, right? For the
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. Like, it's this beautiful thing, and your consciousness gets trapped and you're like, wow, look at all these angles and the sparkles and the math is amazing. And you're just stuck in the doorknob and you can't remote view what's behind the door.
Yeah. The crystal doorknob.
Yeah.
Yep.
String theory is doorknobbing for physicists, right? They just got stuck in it.
Yeah.
Look at this beautiful math.
Yep.
And so there was so beautiful that you keep thinking like it must mean something. Right?
Yeah.
And shout out to Levi from our Discord who always was telling me the math is fake, right? And I'm like, what do you mean, bro? Math is not fake. He's like, bro, it's fake. So, yes, you can have a whole bunch of beautiful math that doesn't connect to the physical world at all. And that may be what he was trying to tell me, is that, math is fake in the sense that there's no guarantee no matter what you're doing. Like, you can take math, and since it's a bunch of abstract concepts connected to language and symbols, you can manipulate it in all kinds of ways, and there's no guarantee of any kind that it will connect to the real world. Yeah, exactly. So you have to. So I think one of the things Eric was trying to say was that good physicists, should be careful when they start messing around with the math, because you need to make sure, you need to check yourself all the time. Does this actually describe something in the real world?
Yeah.
And if there's no experimental evidence at all, and not even any way you could come up with experiments to check, then what are you doing? You're doorknobbed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I agree with you that the idea that there is extra dimensional stuff that isn't string theory like, that may better describe, and I don't know about Hilbert space either. Actually, I looked up the definition and I don't understand it at all.
Exactly.
A Hilbert space is an abstract mathematical space that generalizes the concept of vectors and geometry from our familiar 2D and 3D worlds to infinite dimensions.
Infinite dimensions. Wow.
Right. It is essentially a vector space equipped with an inner product allowing for angles and distances that is complete, meaning it has no mathematical holes or gaps, right? Great. Fantastic.
Yeah. I don't want to know any more about it.
Right. It already sounds like bullshit.
There was he brought up something near the end of the show about like, you remember this guy? I can't remember who it was. He got a bunch of money, hired all these people. They built this massive facility. They're doing all this stuff there. Nobody knows what's happening. Do you remember this? What was it? I'll have to go back and listen to it. But he was trying to suggest that, like, okay, so...
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the facility, but yeah, Joe was saying it was connected to, like, some hedge fund, like, you know, Bernie Madoff. And then he was like, yeah, dude, Bernie was like tiny compared to what, you know, he was normal compared to this, the amount of money that's going into this place.
Yeah. So
he suggested this before. The last time he was on Rogan, he suggested, because he was like, look, the theoretical and high energy physics community is very small. It is not a large community, and most of us know everyone else. I mean, you sort of know everyone. Yeah. You've read their papers, you're aware of their work. And so he's like, so my question was, how can they be doing secret stuff with physicists unless there's people missing? You know, unless people have sort of just dropped off the radar.
Yeah.
Because you sort of know everyone.
Yeah.
And so he was trying to think, he was like, so, and this was not the most recent show, but several shows back. And he was like, so I started trying to think, is there anyone that I was aware of who I just haven't heard from in a long time? And he said that he had come up with some. Not many, but he was like, yeah, there are some people who just... And he said, well, the other possibility is that there are recruiters who catch them when they're still in their undergrad stage. And they're like, oh, this guy's a genius. And they just like, you know? And do the whole Men in Black thing, erase all their records, put in one letter, J.
Yeah. They failed.
They
didn't get their degree.
He failed.
He flunked out.
Yeah. And then, you know, died in a car accident.
Dude.
But how could you convince people to do this?
Bro.
You have to find...
Easy. All you need is a genius, and then you're like, you're going to have so much money to do, we'll build you whatever lab you want.
Oh, yeah. But family, and you have to really find a person who's able to just abandon everyone they know, which you could do, I guess.
Well, maybe they didn't abandon everyone they know, but they might have just sort of flunked out and never finished college. And so nobody knows them in the high energy physics departments around the world. They'll never give talks. They'll never be famous.
They're able to go and do their job and go home, and like, the wife never knows, you know, mom, dad never know.
This is why people actually die.
Yeah.
And go missing. Legit. Because that is also happening.
Right.
That's the other thing that ties into this, is just like these scientists that go missing from like, you know, high energy propulsion laboratories, whatever. What is it? JPL?
JPL, has lost some people.
And the one that really got me, it just really got me, was the lady that just vanished when she was walking in the forest with her friend.
Yeah.
And her friend is like in front of her, and she just vanishes from behind her. It's like they're within talking distance or something. I'm like, this is missing 411.
Exactly.
This would go right into like Politis's case. Joe had Politis on recently. I got to listen to that show, because I hope it would be crazy if he talked about that, because that is the weirdest. That's the straight up out of Missing 411.
Yeah.
The way she vanished without a trace on the trail, and then the search party couldn't find her.
Yep. And so they did mention this in the episode, and they just kind of got brushed past, because you know, Eric kept saying, well, I don't want to die, right?
Yeah. He can't ever give a straight answer, which is
he doesn't give a straight answer. But it did make me think, like, you know, this has been bouncing around. I've seen it a couple times in my feeds, and so I'm like, okay, well, let me actually look at this. So of course, the first place you go, let's see what Wikipedia says, and it's Missing Scientists Conspiracy Theory is the title of the article. And you read through the wiki stuff, and they're just like, this is basic. You can tell them, they're like, this is all crap. But then down at the bottom, near the bottom of the article, they have a chart of the people, and there are, I think there's like 13 of them now that they have listed. And they show status / cause of death. So you have Ningley, University of Alabama physicist, founder of AC Gravity, which is they're an anti-gravity scientist, right? Deceased, and they say the cause of death is Alzheimer's. Amy Eskridge, anti-gravity enthusiast, age 34, deceased, suicide. The police ruled it a suicide. Okay. Michael David Hicks, 59, former planetary scientist at the JPL. Deceased, heart disease. Official cause of death was not released due to the wishes of the family. Matthew Sullivan, 39, U.S. Air Force, deceased, suicide. No other information. Frank Mywald, 61, surface water and ocean topography and imaging spectroscopy engineer at JPL, deceased. His obituary stated he passed away at age 61 without listing a cause of death. Anthony Chavez, 78, retired construction foreman who once worked at Los Alamos National Labs, disappeared, still missing.
Whoa.
Monica Jacinto Reza, metallurgist and materials engineer at JPL, disappeared. Disappeared while hiking in the Angeles National Forest with friends who lost her while navigating a trail on a cliff's edge. So when you read this, people are like, well, she fell off the cliff. God.
You would find her.
I know. That's what's crazy. Like, they're just ignoring that. Melissa Cassius, 53, administrative assistant.
And it's not like you fall off a cliff and you're just like, whew, and then you're falling.
Right.
There's no scream, no nothing.
Come on. Yeah. So this administrative assistant. Now, this is not even a scientist, right? Or at least that's her public title, administrative assistant at Los Alamos National Lab, deceased. Last seen walking along a state highway. Relatives report she was experiencing a huge amount of stress related to financial issues. Anyway, so a lot of these, when you I went and read a bunch of articles on the individual cases, and there's lots of like explaining. They're like, they had financial problems, and people were saying that they were stressed out, and so people, they just walked away and vanished.
There's a couple of them. One of them was like a general or some, like he's a military guy, but there's two different people who left their house, walked away from their houses.
Yeah.
Left their cell phones, took a gun.
Yeah.
And just walked somewhere.
Yeah. So
vanished.
this is one of them. She vanished into the woods in Carson National Forest. And then they've recently discovered her remains. She was they found basically a skeleton, and there was a handgun near the body.
Yeah.
And they also said the skull was fractured, but they did not say whether or not it was a gunshot wound. Yeah. But it seems like they're trying to say it was a suicide, that she was under a huge amount of stress. Anyway, there's like all this kind of waffling around, but there's a bunch more. There's Stephen Garcia, disappeared, still missing. Jason Thomas, assistant director of chemical biology, drowned. Nuno Lorerio, plasma physicist, MIT Plasma Science and Fusion Center, homicide, was a victim of the 2025 Brown University shooting. Carl Grillmare, retired Caltech astronomer and astrophysicist, exoplanets, galactic structure, and dark matter, also deceased by homicide, murdered in a carjacking. Joshua LeBlanc, electrical engineer at NASA Marshall Flight Center, traffic collision. William McNeil, retired U.S. Air Force Major General, former commander, Air Force Research Laboratory, disappeared, still missing, no info.
He's one of the guys that left his house, left his cell phone, left his keys, took his gun. Exactly.
So, and then Nick Pope is the last one they listed, who was an English UFO investigator, author, media commentator, and he was he was one of the disclosure guys. He used to work for the British government, right? And he came out and started talking about all the UFO files he had seen that they had. And he was an interesting guy. And they're saying he died from cancer. But I just wanted to say that I was like, okay, so this is classic Wikipedia. They're like, it's like, it's not weird. It's normal. And then there's other people trying to say this is statistically normal. But I found CNN has an article on it. And it's funny because when you go through this article, they start out that way. You know, nuclear physicist, an MIT professor fatally shot outside of Massachusetts residence, a retired Air Force general missing from his New Mexico home, an aerospace engineer who disappeared during a hike in Los Angeles. These are among the at least 10 individuals connected to sensitive U.S. nuclear and aerospace research who have died or disappeared in recent years, prompting concerns whether they are connected and fueling speculation online about the possibility of nefarious activity. And the FBI now says it is, quote, spearheading the effort to look for connections into the missing and deceased scientists, unquote. Adding that it is working with the Department of Energy, the Department of War, and with our state and local law enforcement partners to find answers.
Huh.
Okay. Yeah, the FBI is looking into it. So then you go down a bit. The reports raise questions about a possible sinister connection between the deaths and disappearances. The Defense Department said only that it would respond to the committee directly, and the Department of Energy referred questions to the White House. NASA said it is coordinating and cooperating with the relevant agencies. This is CNN's trying to get quotes from all these people. And at this time, nothing related to NASA indicates a national security threat, NASA spokesperson said. But this is interesting. The further down you go, okay, so here we go. The string of mysterious deaths and disappearances began in 2023 with the death of Michael David Hicks, a scientist who worked at NASA's JPL for nearly 25 years. Died on July 30th, 2023. During his career, he specialized in comets and asteroids, according to the American Astronomical Society. His cause of death was not disclosed. His daughter told CNN her father had been struggling with known medical issues and that the recent speculation has her shaken up. So she basically says, there's no train of logic to follow that would implicate him in this potential investigation. I don't understand the connection between my dad's death and the other missing scientists. Anyway, I'll skip some of this, but you go through and they're just like, yeah, look how normal all this is. It's not really mysterious. No one is being taken by UFOs like this. One of the people they interviewed said, for this guy, the guy who disappeared, who used to work at Wright-Patterson, right? They're like, yeah, people are thinking aliens took him because he worked at Wright-Patterson. But when you get down to some of the cases they have later in the story, like they've put it way below the fold, basically, paragraph 75. Yeah. Two others missing, Melissa Casillas and Anthony Chavez, worked at Los Alamos National Laboratory, a leading nuclear research facility in New Mexico. Casillas, 53, was last seen walking on a highway near Talpa, New Mexico in June, according to New Mexico State Police, leaving her belongings at home and a phone that had been factory reset.
Yes.
The New Mexico Department of Public Safety told CNN there is an open missing person investigation into the disappearance, but added that no foul play is suspected. This is the woman who was later found as a skeleton in the woods.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I found another article that I'm not going to read, but there was another one that said she actually had two phones, a work phone and a personal, and both of them were factory reset, like the day of, one of them the day of, and the other one the day before she vanished. Yeah. So that is weird.
I think that they're not all of these 14 or 10, whichever the number is.
They're not.
But there's a handful that are.
Yeah.
That seem like they could be connected.
Now, this one's interesting. Chavez, a 78-year-old retiree who worked as a foreman supervising construction at Los Alamos, also disappeared in May 2025, according to the Los Alamos police. The detectives told CNN there are no signs of foul play, but exhaustive searches have yielded no signs of activity or indications that he was planning to leave. And his friend, Carl Buckland, told CNN that he's glad authorities are looking into the case because it's about time, he says.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a professor at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, fatally shot in his home. He was a fusion scientist who led MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center, where he aimed to advance clean energy technology and other research. He was shot at his home outside of Los Angeles in February. They arrested a suspect they don't believe knew him. So like he was just shot by some rando.
Yeah.
You know, which is possible.
Yeah. Didn't steal anything, you know.
Yeah.
I recognize this case type.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. The next one, former U.S. Air Force intelligence officer Matthew James Sullivan also died in 2024 before he could testify in a federal whistleblower case about UFOs. And so some of the representatives he was supposed to testify to urged the FBI to investigate. His public obituary did not state how he died. But I guess somebody told them that he died by suicide, calling it suspicious. He was scheduled to come in for an interview. Within 2 weeks, he had suspiciously committed suicide.
How many times has that happened?
Right.
Many times. Suicide before testifying.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always suicide before testifying. Never murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some mysterious ones. I agree that some of them also look random, but random ones, you know, like, oh, wow, he was hit by a car.
Yeah. Randomness can be a lack of data.
Yeah. Or it can also be because it was an intelligence op.
Yeah.
It looks random.
Yeah.
That's how they want it to look.
Yeah. So you don't have, same difference.
But this is also the kind of argument like, well, the fact that there's no information that this was done nefariously is exactly how we know that it was done nefariously, right?
Yeah, the argument goes both ways. I mean, it's the same argument I make with the 411 cases. It's like, well, if we had more data for each case, like you might find out that they're not actually that similar. Mm-hmm. But there's enough missing information where you have no choice but to put them in the same category. Yeah. So it can work both ways. But it's nevertheless interesting. And when you combine it again with this overarching idea that the physics is definitely being hidden on purpose because it has to for, safety and security reasons, national security. People that are not in the know that may stumble on something or create something in a lab, and they can't be contained.
Yeah.
Well, there's one other option.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It is weird.
Or is this foreign? You think this could be foreign actors? What would be I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, what would be the goal of a foreign actor?
I don't know. A foreign actor would need to know that they were onto something.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, all of this is obviously speculation, and I don't want to be like, I'm not trying to denigrate any of these people, but, one possibility is that they were already compromised and something was going to happen, that they were going to be found out that they were compromised, and that's why they're taken out. I don't know. That would be one reason a foreign actor would do it, but I have no idea. You can come up with any number of scenarios, but the thing is that they're different enough to where it seems like, okay, there does seem to be something strange here, but not all of them are part of the strange group.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's just really difficult to tell which ones are which, except for the ones where it's like, the phones were reset and the person walked off into the woods and is not found.
Yeah.
Also, in that particular case where the body was found recently, the family was from what I could tell from some of the other stuff I was reading, the family is kind of upset because they were like, we couldn't get anybody to help us look. They had to get a bunch of volunteers, basically volunteer groups that look for missing people. And they went out and did a whole bunch of searching. And they're like, the place that they found her, we searched. Like we were there.
It was a place that was previously searched.
Yeah.
Another missing 411 anomaly.
Yeah.
Like exactly. That was another one.
Yeah.
Always in a place that was previously searched.
Yeah. Which the implication there is that the death happened somewhere else and the body was placed there.
Yeah.
Right.
And the gun was nearby.
Yeah. Yep. So there is some strange stuff, and there was one other one. I don't see it in here, and I thought it was in this article. I guess it's not. Where, the guy like walks out of his house, leaves his keys, wallet, phone, everything, and then just vanishes, and he's still missing.
Yeah.
So some of it is strange, and I know like there's plenty of I read a whole bunch of Skeptard articles on this. Like, oh my God, people go missing all the time. It's not a big deal. Like, yeah, I know. We know that. And then the statistical arguments they're making are also hilarious. Like, there's 300,000 scientists, and oh my God, if you take the number of scientists that we have and the number of regular people and the amount of regular people that go missing, and then compare that to the number of scientists that have gone missing here, there's nothing weird, statistically speaking. Like, okay, dude. That's not the question people are asking.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's funny. It is actually kind of fun to read the Skirps on this stuff, because they're so angry that people think it's weird, and that's the most entertaining thing about it.
Well, maybe there's nothing weird about it, but
yeah, I love that people get angry that people think maybe there is something weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this is highly entertaining to me for some reason. I don't know why. But you can just hear them, typing.
I think Eric was pointing out that maybe a lot of these other individuals that are not as mysterious are being added to the actual mysterious ones to sort of muddy the waters and allow for the skepticism to be like, okay, like, this is not unusual.
Yeah.
That's what he was suggesting. And I can agree with that. Like, that's a conspiracy in and of itself, that like this is being done on purpose to sort of muddy it up, because there are actually maybe 4 very mysterious cases that are not solved, don't make sense. Nothing adds up. But then like another 10 are thrown in there that are like, okay, these are just kind of random and weird, or random and like not really connected.
Yeah.
And they're thrown in to allow for people to be skeptical and have legitimate skepticism over the whole issue. That was what he was suggesting, I think.
Yeah. Well, the list of people who think that there's nothing to see here, the list of people and institutions and media places that think there's nothing to see here, makes me think that there's definitely something to it.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as I see Wikipedia, like, this is a conspiracy theory, I'm like, okay, it's totally true. It's definitely true.
But I'm kind of stoked, because not about these missing people, but about the my ability now to sort of legitimately say, I think there might be a massive conspiracy to cover up advanced physics, which sort of opens the door for all of the UAP stuff.
Yep.
And then on top of that, this additional, like, physics has been sidetracked, and that really what maybe the reality is that we're dealing with, like, we need to be looking into multidimensional stuff, and maybe we've already figured that out, and maybe blah, blah, blah. That opens up the possibility of all of this weird phenomena coming from the anecdotal cases in the UFO situation that seem spiritual, that seem like, other dimensional, that actually is part of the physics too, that's part of what's going on. So yeah, I'm kind of like stoked about that. Like, that's what I've been kind of looking for, a little seed that might be the case. Because I think no matter whatever is happening in the universe, it is physics. It's part of the universe. It's part of what the world we live in. And if it's all anecdotal experiences, like I just don't know what to do with that. Like I want to hear something. I want something more. And we don't even have the tools to study a lot of these things. You know, you can't go back and study somebody's case where they saw something in the sky or they had an experience, you know, of some otherworldly thing, an apparition out of nowhere. You can't go back and study that. But if it's true that the study of physics itself is actually moving into that realm, and that is the type of thing being studied now, whether it's in secret or not, but that's sort of what's being suggested.
Yeah.
So I like to hear that because it's...
What did you think of his implication that... I definitely thought that he never says it, but I felt like the implication was strong that he thinks that he was like, look, Elon's a genius, which means he's not dumb, which means he knows that chemical rockets are stupid, right? Which means that maybe he's like building a system in which he has a really good excuse to funnel a crap ton of money and the most brilliant people in the world into
Grok.
Yeah, well, he did mention Grok, but I think he was saying SpaceX is actually a gigantic organization where he can hide the real space travel research.
Yes.
All this money and all these materials and all this high technology are moving through it, and everyone's like, yeah, he's building complicated rockets.
Yeah.
But all of the complicated rockets and all the launches and everything are, you know, I mean, they're useful, and you can also use them to make money, where he's sending stuff into LEO, he's doing Starlink and all this other stuff, but it also gives them excellent cover to hide research into how to actually get to the stars.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I like that.
Like, no one's going to dig through SpaceX's all their crap because they're like, yeah, they're building rockets. Like, maybe they'll be looking for how do we steal some SpaceX technology, but no one's going to be surprised that there's a whole bunch of really smart people and that there's lots of development going on and there's tons of money moving around.
Yeah, but also Grok was a part of that too, because
he was like, he was wanting to get rid of scientists.
He'll be able to get rid of all of the engineers.
Elon has decided that scientists are dumb. And
that was pretty funny.
Because Elon's more of an engineer, so he doesn't want to have to interact with these theoretical assholes. So he's just like, well, I'll make Grok. Grok can read everything all these theoretical assholes have ever written, and then he'll be better at it than they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. But also, you know, what's going on with SpaceX is, I mean, this could also fall under that umbrella that you just laid out. But the fact that he's gotten this real estate in the sky, this LEO real estate, and he's gotten there first, and he's put tons of stuff up there.
Yeah,
is a huge advantage. Right. I mean, it's massive. It's like, this is the new frontier. You're the first person there. You pick the best real estate. And that real estate is going to be so ridiculously valuable.
Oh, yeah.
In the future. And he's like, all the Starlink stuff that's super low. You know, they got it as low as they could possibly get it. It's hauling ass.
Yeah.
But the communication from Earth to the satellite back to Earth is super low latency. So it's a very valuable real estate up there. And so that's going to become an asset. And that's basically like their spot. That's theirs.
Yeah.
And so you try to put something else up there, and it's going to be a huge pain in the ass.
You got to make sure that you don't get in there. Yeah. Or you're going to have collisions and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So that could fall under that same umbrella, because that's going to be insanely valuable as we go into move further into this sort of space age, you know, all of this stuff going up into the skies.
I also think that, and again, you know, I'm not a scientist. I'm definitely not a physicist. I'm not a mathematician. But I think that some of this research, not the theoretical part that Eric says he's doing, because the theory you can do anywhere, right? Because it's on whiteboards, it's on paper. What's the joke about, the theoretical physics department just needs pen, paper, and a trash can. That's all it needs. It's easy to fund it, right? And then the philosophy department just needs pen and paper.
Oh yeah. You don't ever need to throw anything away.
Yeah, you don't need a trash can. But theoretical physics, you do need a trash can occasionally because someone else writes something down and they show that your thing you wrote down is crap.
Yeah.
But like applied physics, you need gigantic machines.
Yeah.
And you need you need a lot, you need a massive budget, right? But I also think that some of this research you can't do in a gravity well.
Yeah.
Some of it, especially, it's possible that some of the actual star travel stuff this is the other thing that kept happening because, Eric was like, well, look, there's this theoretical framework that I'm working on that will let us go to the stars. We can zoom in and get there, whatever he was saying. And Joe's like, well, like what, what does that look like? What kind of technology? And Eric's like, anyway, you can zoom in and get there. He doesn't know what the tech looks like because he's a theorist. He's a theorist, right? But I don't think that it's possible that you won't even be able to work on building that kind of stuff until we get far away from the sun.
Yeah.
What if, stars are really loud in every spectrum.
Yeah.
It's like you're sitting next to, the analogy of being in the forest next to a waterfall. The waterfall is loud and you are vulnerable there in terms of being able to hear the rest of the forest. If there's animals moving around, you can't hear shit. You can't even hear yourself talking. Go loud waterfall. This is the sun. You have to get away from the waterfall and then suddenly everything becomes quiet. And now you can really interact with the forest and you can actually get much weaker signals like sounds and stuff of other animals moving around, birds, wind, stuff like that. But near the waterfall, you can't get any of that information. It's too much noise. And I think that it's not a great analogy, but the point is that being next to a star is like being next to the waterfall in the woods. Like there's too much noise, and possibly that noise, all of that energy pouring off of that star is going to interfere with any fine instruments you're trying to make that might be able to interact with something like the quantum field, right?
Yeah.
Because the quantum field is so heavily fluctuated by the star.
Yeah, I totally get where you're going with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the double slit experiment is never going to work. We're never going to actually understand exactly how a photon acts.
Right.
In the gravity well. We have to go way far away and do that somewhere else, and then we'll see what it really is. Yeah,
not just Earth's gravity well and the sun's gravity well, but also all the noise pouring off of the sun. Plenty of like theoretical physics stuff already. They put a Faraday cage around it. They try to block all possible. They drop it down to absolute zero.
Try to
all
block
this stuff
the gravity. You can't.
Yeah. You got to remove all these variables, but how are you going to block the gravity?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. So it's like when you're trying to build instruments that can discern these very minute energy levels between different aspects of the quantum particles or whatever, it's just almost impossible here to really see what's really going on.
Yeah.
You have to get far away and then once you're able to understand it, then you can engineer something to utilize those properties.
Right. Once you know, like, okay, now we've got it working. How do we make it work close to a star?
Yeah.
Like, what shielding does it need? Yeah. And is that even possible?
Yeah.
Like one of the older ideas about 0 point energy, the idea that there's an enormous amount of energy, all like just intrinsic to the fabric of space itself, because there are all these particles appearing and disappearing all the time. And if you could somehow harness that, you could just pull an enormous amount of energy out of any given place in space, anywhere, anytime. But if you're next to a star and everything is fluctuating, how are you going to build this tiny device that can do it? Because you're talking about Planck spaces.
Yeah.
And the vibrations that are passing through from the star, passing through those Planck spaces from the star are enormous compared to the size you're talking about.
Yeah, or you may be able to build it near the star, but you can't.
It just won't work.
You can't understand it.
Yeah.
Until you get away from it to learn how everything works.
Yeah. Got to get out into at least interstellar space, or, like some appreciable distance from the star, which is interesting. There are some things that
it's like trying to understand the properties of water from a high pressure water jet.
Oh yeah.
You're like, well, everything I put in front of it, it's cutting it in half. I got
right.
This thing must be, but how can you, if you didn't know what water was?
Yeah.
Like that would be the only way you could study it, was from a high pressure water jet. And it's like, it's not going to be very easy to figure out what you can do with water.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. It seems to be a slightly malleable, highly abrasive steel bar.
Yeah. All of my instruments get destroyed when I try to look at it.
Yeah. You're only allowed, you're given like, okay, I want you to study this material. You can see this much of it.
Yeah.
And it's coming out of a high pressure jet. And everything you do just, it cuts you in half. Yeah. It destroys all your instruments.
Yeah. That's a good analogy. You need to go way far away where it's like, it's just barely moving now.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you can actually, oh shit. Okay. It's a very,
somewhere way out there, it's made a little pool.
Yeah.
And that's where you need to study it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, I get you. I get it. Yeah. I grok that.
So
almost forgotten the use of that term.
Grok it? Yeah.
Yeah, he took that term from from Heinlein book.
Heinlein, yeah. The other episode that I was listening to right after the Eric one was Dean Radin, and it kind of flows directly into it because Dean has like been studying trying to find scientific evidence for non-material stuff for a long time. And it's great to listen to him. I've read some of his books. I think he does really good work, and he's worked with some major institutions, and now he's of course with the Institute of Noetic Sciences, which was founded by Edgar Mitchell, the astronaut, who had I think that he said that everyone who's gone to space has this, at least people who go far. The astronauts that go out and where you can turn around. And so I think that the ones that recently, the Artemis people, they probably had it too. The overview effect, where you can turn around and you look and you see Earth as a small blue ball, and you're just like, oh my God. Somehow this changes their brains. And when Edgar was describing it, he was like, it was a mystical conversion, like an unbelievable mystical experience where you look at that and suddenly you realize that everything that you know and love,
ever known,
that anyone has ever known and loved is right there, and it's smaller than the palm of your hand, and you have this awakening to a greater reality of the universe. And how precious it is also, right? Is how tiny and fragile it is, and how precious it is, but how it's also part of this other enormous thing, and it just blows people's minds, right? It happens to every astronaut that has gotten that perspective, but Edgar Mitchell was the one that talked about it the most and sort of popularized the effect. And then it changed him so much that he founded the Institute of Noetic Sciences specifically to study consciousness, because it did something in his mind where he was like, we need to understand the part of the universe that results in these kinds of awakenings. Like, because people have been talking about this kind of stuff for thousands of years, and there must be something to it, because everyone has had experiences of like, you think of somebody and then they call you or text you immediately after that, or if you go back further in time, somebody would think of someone and then they receive a letter from that person that day. The letter's been in transit for 3 months, and they haven't seen them in years. And then they're just like, oh, that person occurred to me. And then bam, you get a letter from them. Well, now we experience it as you think of this person, you're like, man, I haven't talked to that guy in a long time. And bam, the phone rings. You look down and holy crap, they're calling me, right? There's some kind of strange connection. So the institute that Dean has been working at looks for those kinds of experiences that people have and then says, can we study this in a lab? Can we study it statistically and see if it's actually a real phenomena or if you can explain it away as coincidence? So his interview with Joe recently was really good because he starts out by saying that all of modern science is based on the study of the material realm, and that it's excellent at describing the material world that we live in down to the point to where it can describe stuff that we never would have been able to even understand was there without it, right? Like it's such a good tool for this that it has opened up completely new sections of knowledge that didn't exist before we were using this tool to look at the universe. However, it is completely unable to interact in any way with a whole subset of experiences that people have had and been talking about for thousands of years, including consciousness itself. It cannot and has completely failed to explain consciousness at all. It is just like totally failed. And you were just talking about it. You were saying, you can't take someone's experience of seeing something in the sky and try to study it. You can't do it. Right. And this is the kind of thing that like Noetics is looking at, is like, how do you study it? Yeah. How do we study this kind of stuff? Because there's too many people that have similar experiences. Another good example, aside from the not knowing, but like thinking of someone and they call you, is dogs knowing their owners are coming home when they couldn't possibly. Like there's just a lot of different strange little things, plus the UFO thing, plus people seeing apparitions, near-death experiences. There's a whole bunch of these kinds of things that people have been trying to study. Like, how do we isolate this kind of experience in the lab and see if it's a real thing or not? And it's just a really good interview because he basically is just telling Joe, like, we did all these different things, and he describes a lot of different studies that he's done and been involved in, where he's just like, yeah, most people have these kinds of experiences. Most people aren't good at being psychic or whatever it is, but the numbers basically say that it is more than chance. And this includes remote viewing, dowsing, whether it's in the field or on a map, And I know that there's been studies that show that like dowsing doesn't actually work, but he was actually in the show going along and saying, well, actually, there's something about consciousness and the belief is involved in this. And if you have enough people around that just completely don't believe it's real, it actually stops working, which is really convenient for the skeptics.
Wow.
But yeah, like this is, I don't know. I think that's also something that people have been saying for a long time. And this, religions have been saying this as well. It's faith.
Yeah.
It's about believing something that you can't prove. And when you do that, it actually affects the universe in some way. And when enough people are doing it, it affects the universe in a strong way. So
I wonder if it affects the universe like all the way on the other side. Does it affect the whole universe, or is it like a local bubble?
Right.
Like again, you go back to the astronaut at the moon who's looking at this. The Earth is this tiny thing.
Yeah.
And it's like everything we know, all of our faith is over there.
Right.
Does it affect what happens on the moon? I mean, so far there's no skeletons on the moon, so maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's easier when you get away from billions of people that your little tiny faith the size of a mustard seed can actually do something.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not around.
When you're not fighting all the other people's beliefs that aren't the same as yours.
Yeah. So maybe it's a local bubble thing.
Yeah.
This is why you need to go out in the desert by yourself.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. You go out in the desert by yourself and you have mystical experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool, man. I'll check that one out. I saw some clips, but I hadn't listened to the whole episode.
It's really good. I still haven't finished it, but it's very good. I'm actually going to go back and listen again because the whole time I'm listening, we're also still unpacking everything, and I miss key points, so I need to go back and listen again because especially for this, like, it's really intriguing to me and important to hear all the details of how they set the experiments up.
Yes.
Once you hear, because some of it you're just like, man, that's genius. Because he's presented with this problem, like, how do we study this particular thing? And then he's like, well, so we thought about it for a while, and then we decided to do this. And you're like, holy crap!
Experimentalists, man, they're cool. Perfect. The stuff they come up with, it's great. I love it.
Yeah, and I always go back to the fact that people can change random number generators. Like, this is just, it's absolutely true. Right? So many studies have been done on it in multiple different institutions. It happens. The question is how do we figure out why it's happening? Yeah. And I think this is what he was trying to say in the beginning of the show, is that him and people like him and the Institute itself have built up a body of information saying there is something here, and none of our conventional scientific tools have any way of even beginning to investigate how or why it takes place. And this is why it connects back to Eric stuff. It implies that there are giant sections of the universe that we haven't even seen yet.
Yeah.
But people have been interacting with them, at least in limited ways, since people have been around. And this is why we have the stories.
And you mean by sections of the universe, not space, but like the laws of how it works.
Yes, yeah. I'm sorry, yeah. Whole
categories of laws and things.
Categories of physics, if you want to put it that way, because you're right. If it's part of how the universe works and people are interacting with it, it must be in some way identifiable as laws of physics that we just are completely ignorant of. They are unknown unknowns.
Yeah. That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
I like knowing that. It's always good to know that.
I agree. Like,
it's a good having a refresher on the massive holes where we do not know stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is part of the reason we started the podcast. It's like there are huge holes. Okay, that reminds me. The other thing I wanted to mention, and again, I recommend everybody go listen to this, the Eric one and the Dean Radin one.
Just skip past, you skip the first 45 minutes of the one with Eric. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. I had to skip the music part.
Sure.
Drove me nuts.
Yeah. Listen for the first 10 minutes because they mention some physics stuff, and then they start once he starts talking about music, just skip way ahead until they get back into the physics. Yeah.
I go 15 minutes and they're still talking music. I was like, oh God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They played a sample of some artist that he was like, oh, amazing guitarist. Just think this guy's the greatest.
Yeah.
Then they played it and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And
what is this?
Jamie's just like, this dude sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Although I have to say their conversation about Freebird was pretty good.
I skipped it.
Oh, okay. It was funny.
Yeah.
Joe thinks that Parks and Rec brought Freebird back into popularity.
Parks and Rec?
I'm sorry. What is it? Protect Our Parks.
Oh, Protect Our Parks. Okay. Yeah.
Not Parks and Rec. My bad. Yeah. He was like, I think we're the reason why it became popular again. And then Jamie looks it up and he's like, it's actually just been popular the whole time. It never went down. Because they both had this idea that its popularity dropped. You know, everyone knew Stairway, and Stairway was always, you could mention Stairway and everybody knew what you're talking about. But for a while, if you mentioned Freebird, some people didn't know. and then Joe was like, yeah, we brought it back. And Jamie looked it up. He's like, no, it's been popular the whole time.
Is it because they played Freebird when they would slam beers?
I don't know. He didn't say.
I don't know.
Anyway, now we're talking about music.
That's funny.
So the thing I wanted to mention that Dean Radin said again, and this is also at the beginning of the show, is that he says, and this was great because we've been saying this since we started the show. He used different terms, but he was like, when you get educated in the modern systems, they are teaching you using a large series of assumptions about the universe. And those assumptions are basically that the universe functions completely on a materialist framework. And no one in any of the education systems or like curricula or anything ever tells you that those are assumptions.
Yeah.
It's treated as fact.
Yep.
But the fact is that we have all this data that says that it doesn't disprove materialist stuff, but it says that it can't be everything, right?
Yeah.
And I think that when I was listening to him talk about that, I'm like, yeah, he's talking about stacks of assumptions. This is something we've been talking about on the show for a long time. Like there are stacks of assumptions, and once you get a high enough stack, now your assumptions are based on previous assumptions, and you can get way off track.
You're not even aware, first of all.
Yeah. Do you even know what the assumptions are on the bottom of the stack? Yeah. And a lot of people don't. And I think a lot of, unfortunately, this is probably what has happened with string theory. Now, I think Eric is trying to say that this is on purpose, and that may be true if there are small groups of people who are more aware of what the universe is really like. They're allowing these stacks of assumptions to go sort of unnoticed in the public education system so that people don't go towards dangerous subjects. Right?
Yeah.
But it is interesting because the fact that there are stacks of assumptions can also lead you massively astray and waste a whole bunch of time because you're trying to get a framework of the universe and maybe understand it better, but you're not even aware of the fact that you're operating from a whole bunch of assumptions that may not be correct.
Yeah. Yep.
And this also reminded me of, us talking about gravity. We discussed the idea that what if gravity is not a pull towards objects, but some kind of,
it's a resonance, essentially.
Yeah, resonance, standing waves inside of, within a medium of some kind.
Yeah.
And like this idea that the whole concept of dark matter comes from this assumption that gravity must be a pull towards material.
Yeah.
But if there are indications in some theoretical frameworks that there are many dimensions and some of them are like right next to us in some ways, then it's possible that I think Joe actually mentioned this, that he said that there was some physicist or scientist who said, well, maybe dark matter is actually gravity leaking into our universe from one that's right next to us.
Yeah.
It's leaking in. And the reason why we can't find dark matter is because it actually isn't here.
Yeah.
It's, now that's still operating on the idea that gravity is or like originates from a group of material.
It's kind of the same thing. Like the idea that gravity could be leaking in from another dimension is similar. It's kind of similar that like you would have, like, in other words, it's something operating in a medium.
Yeah.
And like if you think about like quantum field theory or whatever, these fields are all overlapping each other. And so you can have a resonance in one field that doesn't move the other field at all.
Yeah.
But they totally permeate each other. But then sometimes the resonance in one field will interact with the other field. And so then it has the same. So it's kind of leaking in is weird, but like we do have things like that in the observable universe, as far as we know. Like you can have overlapping media, and one of them can be resonant and the other one isn't. But when you get to the right frequency or the right amplitude, it does start to move stuff in the other medium. So yeah, it could be that. But that's kind of similar to what we're like this idea that it is a resonance, that you don't have to have matter there.
Right. I mean, I think that one of the things we talked about was that gravity seems to, like at least in, Einsteinian, if that's a word, Einsteinian space, that gravity seems to actually affect time, not the other way around. Like if you move through a gravity field, time is the thing that is warped. Time and space are actually warped by gravity, and this implies that gravity is somehow outside of those things. Like it can change them.
Yeah, it's manipulating them.
Right. So the idea that it could actually cross, like what Eric was saying, that if time is not a line, but it's actually a multidimensional space, and then there are other groups of material in this multidimensional space, and sometimes we're near them, then gravity can leak across because it affects time, not the other way around. It isn't contained.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But still, I like the idea that it's, that it's a resonance. What was that?
That was my arm hitting the keyboard. This whole recording is useless over here.
Oh no.
I just stopped it again, and I guess I stopped it earlier, but the keyboard.
Oh, are you leaning on your
I guess I just put my elbow on it and just I don't know what I did. I'll get it from Riverside. It's fine.
Yeah. We're professionals, folks.
Totally profesh. You have backups. That's what makes you professional.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't have to redo the show.
No.
Because
definitely not.
Because we have 2 recordings going.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love all this stuff.
Yeah, me too.
And it's pure Snake Bros material. I mean, that just listening to that kind of person. I mean, Eric can be a little frustrating because he will never actually say something. But then occasionally he accidentally says something and you're like, what did he just say?
Yeah.
Right? That's what's amazing about it.
I listen to him for that reason, because it's like I know that he knows stuff.
Yeah.
But man, it's tough for me to listen to him. Yeah. But it's always good. It's like I listen to it and I'm like, man, there's some good stuff here.
Well, I just want to mention the one thing, like one concrete thing that he said about the UAP UFO phenomena. He said, because Joe was like, okay, so it's like our stuff or whatever. And he's like, I think some of it's ours, some of it's foreign, and some of it is unknown. So he's still saying that some of it is unknown. Like,
yeah.
So even that, implying that even the people in the know, not him, but I mean, he thinks that people in the know are also looking at some of this phenomena and saying, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Because they're looking at it and like, yeah, that was ours. We did that. And we were doing a sort of red team, blue team thing there where we were like taking our stuff out and messing with our own people to see how they would respond and how our stuff can handle their known capabilities. Then others are foreign actors, other nations that have gone down similar research and resulted in similar technology, and they're also doing this stuff and messing around. So they're like, okay, those are ours. those are those guys. What is that?
Yeah. I would say another interesting thing is that at this point, it doesn't seem like we're using them militarily.
Right.
Like, it's not happening in Russia, Ukraine. It's not happening in Iran, as far as we can tell. There's no overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, what did they unleash? You know, there's no overwhelming victory situation. It seems to be all like caught up in the, well, how quickly and cheaply can you make drones?
Yeah.
You know, maybe big aircraft carrier naval vessels are not all that they used to be. It's more about very cheap drones.
Right.
Things like that. Like, you're not seeing, in other words, whatever this is, if it is hidden military technological stuff, like, they're not really deploying it at this point in any of these conflicts that we've been experiencing. It, as far as I can tell. I mean, maybe. But as far as you can tell from the news or what's being released, like, there's not, you're not seeing video coverage from civilians and things, which I've seen a lot of, but you're not seeing unexplainable weird phenomena from these videos, from this footage. So it seems like whatever it is, like, the war situation, the political situation is not dire enough to deploy it. If it is military and stuff that our military might be encountering that's not ours, well, if it was Russia's, they don't appear to be using it militarily. So that is a suggestion that maybe a lot of it is something else.
Yeah. And this just makes me think of, like, the Foo Fighters, you know, World War II. There were plenty of accounts of strange phenomena in the skies around airplanes, bombers and planes. They're like, well, what were the weird floating balls of light that were following us around, you know?
Yeah.
And they also didn't seem to be doing anything militarily. They weren't taking out any planes, at least not that we know of. You know, now this might be a selection bias. In other words, the guys who were able to come back and report seeing them are the ones that didn't get taken out by them, right? But there were no reports. There were plenty of reports, you know, where like pilots are seeing them around all of us. And, you know, so unless they decided, like, we can't take out any of these planes unless no one else can see it happen, including other planes around or anyone on the ground. And I guess they could have done that maybe, but that is, it seems like that's a little before we should have had this kind of tech.
Yeah.
Although I know people, and I'm sure people in the audience as well, will say, well, you know, maybe the Nazis were working on this kind of stuff and they had developed something that was able to do this, but it was completely ineffective as a weapon or a defense of any kind. But then what are they doing with it? You know? So it's just strange. Like, I don't know. And I agree with you that if the US has a bunch of tech like this, how come we have never used any of it anywhere? And the answer is, well, it's so secret that well, what good is a weapon?
What good is it? Yeah.
If you're like, it's so secret.
Well, that's what I'm
never
saying.
Use it.
If you're waiting for World War III, if it's like, okay, well, we're going to make an assessment right now. Like, is it time? Do we need this bad right now? Well, things aren't that bad.
Yeah.
Let's just use our conventional weapons and we'll just go from there. And things haven't gotten bad enough to where you would deploy it in such a way that it could be found out. It could be maybe you have an accident and maybe somebody captures some of it, or it's caught on video and then it becomes like known. Okay, the Americans are using this technology, or the Russians are using this technology. That seems like a legitimate decision-making process you would have to go through if you had something.
So that would imply that there is a kind of dark Cold War.
Cold War going on, yeah.
A completely hidden, secret Cold War, because some of them aren't ours.
Yes.
And I guess what I should say is they aren't all controlled by the same group.
Yeah.
I don't know who the groups belong to, or if they belong to maybe they don't belong to anyone. I know there's plenty of researchers who are like the black groups have become so disconnected from the rest of the public government apparatus that they basically are effectively their own entity now, and no one has any control over them whatsoever.
Well, then they could just like rebel. They could go rogue. So they might as well be our enemy.
Maybe they have figured out, maybe they've decided that they're going to be the ones that are run the world, and they're just, and so a lot of the crazy stuff we see happening that makes no sense at all is because these people are in the shadows manipulating things. I don't know. All of that's possible. But the fact that some of it is probably not ours nor a foreign adversaries and is still unexplained, and that now we have the third party problem. And the fact that it's been around for a long time, probably thousands and means that the third party has been here a long time. and I think that when you listen to some of the top guys in this kind of field, and I think Marty was sort of implying some of this as well, is that there are elements of at least the U.S. government and possibly some other ones that have been in contact with whatever this third party is. People refer to them as aliens.
Trump must have made a deal with them, dude, because now we're going to the moon.
Yeah. Some kind of deal. But that deal's been around. Some of the deals have been around a long time.
But we're going back to the moon.
Yeah.
So, we're not banned from the moon anymore.
Right.
We can go.
We've been given permission to land at one of the poles.
Yeah.
I find this significant. I want to see a connection to Antarctica somehow. We're going to land on the South Pole of the moon. And there's pyramids there that match the pyramids under Antarctica. And once we can get there and turn them back on, then we don't need to fly up there anymore. You just go to Antarctica and then you can go to the moon.
But this is another it's this space warp center.
Yeah, exactly.
This is another interesting thing about Elon Musk's whatever he's doing with SpaceX. We're going to Mars, we're not stopping at the moon, there's no bullshit, we're going straight there.
Yeah, and then suddenly
he's he builds all these rockets, he starts putting stuff up into space, he's all this crap, and then it's okay, we're going to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you explain that with a simple, I was just an engineer thinking we're going to fly straight to Mars. Now I realize we need a space station, we need a stop, or is this, because what it seems like to me is that before you build all this stuff and you build the infrastructure and you prove that okay, we can go to space cheaply, we can bring tons and tons of material up there. Now you've proven it to the government, and the government's okay, no, we're building a moon base first. And he's okay, we'll do the moon. It seems like maybe it's a contractual thing. It's
could be
a national security thing as opposed to a dreamer. Or is this something that he figured out? I
don't know, because I never understood. I'm why are you trying to go all the way to Mars?
I know.
You want your...
That never made any sense to me.
Yeah.
But maybe it was the way
we build infrastructure in high Earth orbit. We've talked about this. Then, build something in moon orbit, lunar orbit. Then your transit from Earth to moon becomes easy because it doesn't have to be something that picks up from Earth.
Yeah.
It can be a giant framework of light metals, and you just put all your cargo in there and you throw it at the moon, and it doesn't have to withstand gravity. It doesn't have to withstand a whole bunch of acceleration. It just cruises over to the moon. You grab it and your lunar orbital station, and then you decide what stuff we're going to send down, and then you can build your base on the moon, and then that base can provide raw materials. And then once you have those established, you build some kind of framework to throw at Mars.
Yeah.
And then start building something in Martian orbit, and then you can start dropping stuff onto the planet.
But the lunar orbiter was in the original plan, and now it's scrapped. They're just going straight to the moon.
I know, it's weird.
That is weird.
Yeah. And I never understood why Elon was like, I'm gonna build a giant rocket and we're gonna burn it all the way to Mars. Like, yeah. I know that's not exactly what he was talking, but I'm like, why wouldn't you establish some low G stuff nearby and then throw things, from low G to low G at Mars? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But it could be marketing.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he was trying to capture the imagination, like, we're gonna colonize Mars. And maybe they decided moon is boring. No one will be excited about going back to the moon. Let's talk about Mars. And
then once an end goal, like a different end goal.
Once they got all of this momentum, and they're like, and people are like, "Holy crap! Look at these rockets!" And you caught it with it. You landed that thing, and people are like, "This is amazing!" Now he's like, "So we're going to Mars, but first we're going to stop at the moon."
That's a good point. It could be a marketing thing, capturing the hearts and minds of the American people and making them. Yeah. That could be it. I find it interesting.
Or like you're saying, somebody at the U.S. government was like, "We got to go to the moon."
Yeah. Like, listen,
we don't have permission to go to Mars yet
because the contracts are technically open to whoever can do it first.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
That's the way they're set up. So now, it's kind of looking like SpaceX is going to be the one that's, the most capable to move all the materials.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, we need you for the moon job,
Right.
But it's still up in the air. It could be Blue Origin also. I mean, it's a race.
Yeah. And it's like SpaceX is going to be the freight.
Yeah.
Because Artemis is the program that's sending the people and basically going to build the base. But they're like, yeah, we need somebody to ship a whole bunch of shit up there. And you have a gigantic starship that can carry a whole lot of stuff. Yeah. And it's reusable, which makes it so that it's relatively cheap.
Yeah.
Like the amount that SpaceX has dropped the cost of pound, how much it costs to get a pound of stuff into orbit is amazing. Because of the reusability of their main engines. It's just like, dude, this is awesome.
But due to inflation, it's basically the same.
And also, it's all a giant cover for him to actually build, warp technology.
Yeah. I love this. This is great.
This is a great conspiracy theory. And the fact that it came from, I could be like, listen, a physicist told me this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good stuff. All right.
Yeah.
We have time for an email or two before.
Yeah, we can do a couple of emails. We're already, dude, we went an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. We better, if we're going to do emails every show, we better, start learning to wrap it up sooner.
Let's see what we got here.
That's great stuff.
Yeah, man. Okay. We're close to catching up. We're now on January of 2026.
He says this every time, folks.
Dude,
every time.
Every time it's true. All right, from Spencer. He says, I love your work and the in-depth presentations you do on your channel. You guys are inspiring and bring hope that someday we will truly understand the true nature of our ancient ancestors. And it is possible you've already talked about this in depth because I'm not fully caught up, but have you looked into Zoroastrianism at all? One of the world's oldest religions, which I believe was most likely the base story from what other flood myths stem from in later retellings and later religions. Most intriguingly about this flood myth is not only the connection between the 7 Zoroastrian holy immortals and the Apkallu, but also the fact that unlike in other myths where the Noah figure was instructed to build a boat, Yima was instructed to build an underground refuge. This refuge has very similar characteristics to Noah's Ark, containing 3 levels, a window with artificial light, the strongest seeds from all of life, etc. It was mind-blowing to me to find that the earliest tablets of this religion was found just miles from Derinkuyu and the many other large underground cities to be found in that area. Thank you for all that you do, Spencer.
Yep. Totally agree, bro. That's a cool connection. I love that.
Yeah. And the hints of technology in the story are interesting too. Like here's a window of, I'll help you light the place by giving you some magical stuff.
Yeah.
So you don't have to burn torches. He also has a follow-up email that he sent. Let's see. Let me check. I think he sent it. He sent it a couple of days later, this is hilarious. He says, "Hello. I drank coffee and sent too large of an email while I was at the gym. Sorry about that. You guys are great. Love your podcast. Love seeing the success. I think Zoroastrianism is a huge part of finding the roots to similarities in religion. What is your opinion on Zoroastrianism and its connection to Turkey and Derinkuyu? I find this fascinating." Well, first of all, your other email, it wasn't too big, bro. It was good. It was good.
He must have just listened to another show where you were complaining about the length of
complaining
emails.
about a book. Yeah. No, it wasn't too bad. But
no, I think it's a legitimate connection. I mean, we've talked about it. Like you said, you hadn't listened to all the shows. We definitely talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
I also think that first of all, I think that Derinkuyu and other of these underground cities like it that is basically where I stand on that. I think that they are refuges from some kind of destruction.
Yep.
Utilized later and probably ever since by other people.
Yeah.
And we talked about that, especially when we went to Turkey last time. The surface areas are highly manipulated,
heavily
random,
modified.
But then when you get down to the bottom, it's very ordered, very different type of system.
Yep.
And who knows what was down in those vaults when more modern people found them. Like, it could have been found thousands of years after the destruction. It may not have been continually in use. I don't know. There's a lot there.
Yeah, and then the Zendavesta, right? You talked about this a bunch, about how it looks like very specific explanations that have a scientific basis that are being given to people who have no science.
Yeah.
On how to deal with the problems that they will encounter while living underground for many generations.
A lot of it had to do with like sanitation.
Yeah.
Keeping people from getting sick, but it's like you can see that there probably was some medical technology or medical understanding involved, but
it's being expressed as religious edicts rather than
about how to touch dead bodies and whether or not what the people that actually are dealing with the dead bodies, what they have to do. There's like these cleaning rituals and all this kind of stuff, and they have to take them to the surface and put them on a certain place. But like any water, it's always about like touching water, and it was just on and on and on forever. I never made it all the way through. I was just like, I finally got fed up with it. But of course, it was the PDF reader. It was wop, 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 wop the whole time.
Yeah, the Charlie Brown teacher voice.
But yeah, it looked like medical knowledge being transferred by people who had no medical knowledge whatsoever or understanding.
Yeah.
And they're copying and retelling. And these are the rituals you have to do to make sure not everyone dies. But it doesn't, I don't know, it was very interesting.
You can imagine like someone with medical and biological understanding conveying this information to someone who doesn't have it, and then that person trying to tell other people who also don't have medical tech.
Yeah.
And he just couches it all as like, this is what the God told us to do.
Yeah.
Here are the rituals that we have to follow. All right. Let's see. This is Geodesics of the Great Pyramid. by Mike. This one is interesting. Why does the Great Pyramid align to true north, east, west, and south? Why is it a 4,300 or 43,000 to 1 scale model of the Earth? Why does it encode longitude and latitude? Why all the other cosmic and solar alignments? Try to imagine for a second that you are an advanced world who is fully aware that an end is coming. So what do? You build a nearly indestructible structure made out of the hardest materials possible, interlocked in a way that can survive literal earthquakes in the single most structurally stable shape, a pyramid. Then you go underground, fully aware that the world's infrastructure would no longer exist whenever you do return to the surface. It may be generations later. So what would you leave those future generations behind to help them navigate a world with no infrastructure who may have never even stepped foot on the surface? All of these geodesics amount to a jumpstart survival guide for these survivors. By extracting this info that is directly embedded into this indestructible structure, you have the size of the Earth, you have directional awareness, you have a gridding system in longitude and latitude, you have Orion alignments that can be used in relation to the sun to navigate. The megaliths were built to survive this cataclysm, and they left behind, encoded in the very foundations of the structure itself, the kind of information the initial survivors would need to survive in the broken world. As above, so below was a survival guide. And this was the purpose of these geodesic encodements. From Mike. I think this is a cool idea. That it's basically like encoding all this. But the only part I thought about when I was reading this that I thought was was like, well, now that seems that there's like an implication that this information wouldn't be able to be maintained while they're underground.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking too.
Like, why do these
the best
people
way to do it would be to write it in their own language in books and give them to them.
And take them underground with them. Yeah. Yeah. So it makes sense if you're assuming that people will survive, but it isn't going to be you or your civilization that has all this information.
But the other thing is, like, you can't discern all of that information from the pyramid if you're a hunter-gatherer survivor with no knowledge and you have no way to survey it. It's too big to measure. You have no way to enter it.
Yeah.
You have no way to find the hidden chambers within until you develop dynamite and other things like that. Like our wonderful historical figures who blew their way into it. So it's not telling you anything other than, well, hey, we used to be awesome. That's basically what it tells you. So it is inspiring. Maybe we can be awesome again. But how do you even measure it? Like, if you don't have any tools, you can't even measure the size of it accurately.
Right. But maybe it would
inspire you to build the tools.
Right. It would make you want to measure it. Yeah.
So you start walking, you start measuring everyone's feet. You're like, okay. It's just like, I like the idea, but I don't think it's that simple. I like the idea that it was actually set up to almost prevent a people with no knowledge or very low civilization from even gaining access to its secrets.
Yeah.
It's like
set up kind of lock.
Yeah. It's set up in a way that you have to have a certain level of technology before you can even begin to get the secrets out of it.
Right.
I like that.
You have to have a certain level of technology before you even start to understand that there are secrets to get.
Yeah.
And then you find out, oh, wow, like there's actually so many secrets that we don't have them all and we can't actually get them all right now.
That's intriguing to me. I think that's cool.
But it's possible that works at every level of all the way down to the hunter-gatherer. That guy who has no measuring tools walks up to it and goes, wow, this thing has secrets.
Yeah.
And I can't get them. And that also happens to people like Petrie. He walks up to it and he goes, wow, there are secrets here that even with all of my tools, I still can't understand.
Yeah. Yeah. So it works all the time.
Right. It's still working.
So I think you're right that it's that the bottom line is it wasn't preserving it for the people of that civilization. It was preserving it for whoever might find it.
Yeah.
Ever. And in any cataclysm.
Right.
Not just the one that may have been befallen the people who built it, but any after that as well.
Yeah, that's right. Cool.
Uno más?
One more. Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole bunch more I could say about that, but we've gone over this stuff a bunch of times. I mean, you can just, I don't know, that makes you think of like, so why would they do this? Why? Like, this is why I think people have come up with, they're trying to come up with reasons why it has all those alignments that make sense for the people that built it right then. Like, But I do agree with Mike that he's saying, if you're a fully advanced world that you're fully aware, like we're about to
perish,
there's about to be this massive cataclysm, that it would change a whole lot of priorities.
Yeah.
And maybe you would be willing to put a lot of resources into something that you can't use, because it doesn't matter how many resources you put into it, because the whole system is about to come crashing down anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
So it doesn't have to be like
one. Like it's multiple.
Right.
I don't know how many, because so many of them have been altered by later by the dynastic
and there are ones
period
in China and stuff like so.
Yeah.
It's,
yeah.
okay, one more.
Every one of these things is like the nubs, you know?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, this one is this is from Dead Goat from the Discord, actually.
What's up?
It's called Children's Memory Loss Linked with Psi Abilities.
Oh.
Hi, Kyle and Russ. Dead Goat in the Discord here. I'm listening to the Live Not Live pod you did on the 6th of February in 2026, or as Russ would remember it, 6th of February 2028. On the topic of children losing memory as they gain the written and read word, my wife and I had this literal same conversation that you and Laura had a few nights ago.
Wow.
As I'm writing this email, you're following the same thought chain we did. However, I've had a deeper thought also. Our kids, aged 3 and 4.5, have been saying the same thing about when they were 2 and 3. This and that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But our 4.5-year-old is now forgetting heaps of memories just as she's getting properly stuck into homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
There is also this concept of kids showing tele or psi abilities. Never looked too far into it, but I hear it is most prominent around 3 to 5 years of age. Our 4-year-old has displayed some snaky behavior, e.g. walking into the room telling her mom that she likes the song that her mom is humming in her head.
Whoa.
Also, bringing up a past family member as we drove past the site they crashed their car 30 years earlier.
Oh my God.
No spoon bending, but things that make you go, Anyway, my further thought was that you hear these abilities are strongest at this age and then they fade away. But maybe this is literally the only time in a human's life where the cross-section of being able to display these abilities to others intersects with the period before the written and read word has drawn focus away from our thought-based abilities and made physical social skills more important. And in fact, we all would have these abilities for life in prehistory. Not too wild of a thought. Kind of makes sense. Kind regards from Dead Goat.
Love it. Dude. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Ah, yes. And I mean, just looking at it, like breaking it down a little further, like when you actually engage with this teaching of the basics, all of the numbers, the characters, the letters of the alphabet, the words, learning the language, learning how to express. I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing to their brain? You're ordering their brain. Because they experience the world however they experience it, right? It's coming in, how their cognition works, how do they explain to themselves the lamp? the door. What is their concept of it? Well, we replace whatever that concept is with the symbol that we have all accepted to mean the lamp or the door.
Remember how Soul was fascinated with doors?
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Just totally obsessed with doorways.
In and out.
Yeah.
In and out. Like he would open it and go through and close it.
Yes.
And turn around and open it and go through and close it. And back and forth and back. He was fascinated with this concept of portals through walls.
Yeah.
How you're in this room and now you're in this room.
Yeah.
And then you're in this room and there's a thing that, I watched him do it and was like trying to imagine what was happening in his head. And this is like pre-written word, right?
Yeah.
And back and forth, and he was like, absolutely, you could tell that he was really obsessed with this phenomenon of going through doorways.
Yeah.
And
because we can't see the door. We can't understand a doorway the way he could.
Yeah.
Our understanding of a doorway has
it
now
made
been
me wonder what I was missing.
Fully encoded into this accepted set of symbols that we have all agreed upon back into our ancestral beginnings.
It made me wonder, like, what am I missing? Because I'm watching him, I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something here.
Yeah,
like, why is this so cool?
Awesome
like, it's obviously really cool. And you know what I thought of? Like, some of the ancient sites in Turkey and Malta have these portal stones.
Yeah.
Where they don't just build, like the trilithon, like the two uprights and the lintel, but they actually take a block and they cut a hole directly through it. And that's what you pass through to get into the temple.
Yeah.
And, there obviously, there's something there
special about the door.
Yes.
Not just we're going to leave this wall and that wall and then put something over the top so we can keep building.
Right.
No. We're going to take an entire...
Yeah. We're going to cut a hole through part of the wall.
Yeah.
And that is going to be its own special thing. Like they built a threshold stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just saying that the flooding their brains with these symbols, and it's ordering their thought processes. It's ordering their whatever is going on in just the natural ability of their bodies to sense the world around them, and their brain to then turn that into usable information for them to interact with the world. We change it all right at that age. We're flooding them with these symbols. No, look at this page. Listen to this word. You're flooding them with symbols that they have to memorize. And then all of that other stuff, the way they may have naturally come to interact with the world is gone. Now you've become an initiate. You are part of us. You're part of this whole agreement that we've had for thousands of years, that this is the way we're going to understand the world and interact with it.
So what if spoken language does this also? I think there's also a transition from like before children can speak to, like, I think you guys are pointing out that there's this transitional period from when they can talk to you, but before they've learned to read and write.
I'm kind of saying both, yeah.
But there's also this period before where they can interact with you, but they can't say stuff yet. Mm-hmm. And they also seem to experience the world differently in some ways. It's harder to get it because they can't tell you anything, but you can see it in the way that they act, right? So maybe, I don't know, that there's this idea that language itself, and so therefore the written part of it also is a kind of like a mimetic virus that gets installed into your brain.
Yeah.
And it changes the way it functions. And there's plenty of like research on how different languages have different ways of interacting with certain things in the world, and they make people think in different ways about those ideas.
Yes.
And people who are multilingual can see the differences, and that changes their brain again.
Yes.
My wife is like this. She can speak multiple languages, and so it's interesting how sometimes she'll point out some stuff about the differences between English and other languages because she can speak multiple languages, and I'm just like, oh my god, like
I never even considered that. Like,
yeah,
you would think about something like that. Yeah, it's totally
stop infecting me.
That's it. Well, the point is it's like it's making you aware of your own, like the built-in bias, like that you view the world in a certain way because of the language and the way you speak about it, the way you communicate about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's something. I think it's both. Your brain does have sort of a capacity for memory, right? You can, like, I learned plays. I learned entire massive dialogues in plays and memorized every word exactly as the script. Even with like, when it didn't really make a whole lot of sense, like if it's in a old English that we don't even speak that way anymore, but I can still memorize it all.
Yeah.
And then lyrics of songs, like just tons and tons of words and all of this exact memorization. But if you don't keep it up, it slowly fades away. And then, of course, you're flooding your brain with like new stuff. You learn the new plays, you learn the new songs, and then the old ones, like they become blurry, or you kind of remember them as like one thing rather than a bunch of little words.
Yeah.
They become compressed.
Yeah, they get compressed.
They get compressed over time. So that's what I'm saying. Like we flood them with so much of these tiny little detailed pieces of information when they're at that age. At my age, I'm not getting flooded with tons of memorization details that I have to constantly. And it's all new. Like if I was studying plays today and learning plays by memory, it would still be all the same stuff that I'm already used to, all the words, the language. But this is something completely different than they've ever experienced. In terms of their cognition, their ability to connect something that their senses have to a symbol. That's kind of what I'm getting at. That there's something happening there that is basically irreversible, or perhaps it's reversible. But it does something that changes the way they operate forever. And it makes them like us.
Yep. It's Babel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that what he was saying in his email is, at least pre-written Babel, there is some psi abilities that are manifesting, right? And then now this could be a coincidence, but as they begin to learn to read and write, this sort of goes away.
Yeah. And they forget their lives.
Yeah.
Before that point, once they turn all of their experiences into symbols, the experiences they had before the symbols are gone, dude.
Are gone. Yeah. They're no longer accessible. They're still there, probably.
Because they can't take this modern version of that experience that they've now turned into a symbol. It is unrelatable to what they experienced before they had the symbol.
Which shows you how different they related to the world before they learned all the symbols. Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's like a completely incompatible file type.
Yes.
Still there.
Yeah. They still got it. They just can't access it.
Yeah. Wow. That is weird.
So, for science, you parents out there, it's just like, you got a 3-year-old, don't teach him how to talk or to read. Just homeschool them.
Just do it for science.
If we're not going to have any more kids, but if I did, that's what we would do.
Also, I'd say if anyone is interested in this kind of concept and likes cool science fiction, try Snow Crash.
Oh yeah.
It's really good, and if you're reading it on my recommendation and wondering why the hell I told you to read this and what the hell it has to do with what we're talking about right now, just make sure you get to like the second half of the book, and then you'll be like, oh shit. It's really cool, the exploration of this topic of language being some kind of ancient virus, a mental one. and how it can change how people think. And it even goes into Anunnaki and old Sumerian stuff. It's really cool. I think you guys would. It's definitely a snaky book.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up.
Heck yeah. Great first remote show.
Yeah.
Didn't feel any different, dude.
Yeah.
Look, I could even move the monitor. I could just put you over there where you normally sit.
I definitely feel like I need more color. Now I'm looking at your studio and I'm like, wow, I'm very grayscale here. Everything is gray.
Can you? I need to get a printout. I need to get a life-size cutout of you actually, so that I can just put you in the seat over there.
Yeah. I got my old Legend of Zelda there.
Is that a shrine?
I set up this whole shelf with cool stuff on it, and you can't see it because I'm right in front of it the whole time. Lame. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling him that's why I hang things. Nope. Over there. I flipped the mirroring on my screen. Yeah. They're over there.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
Yeah, we love you.
Always have.
Always will.
Good night, Adamu.
Get back to work.